I hope you've been enjoying these daily reflections as we journey through the Gospel of John together. Our aim is to have 3 little Bible studies a week, to have a prayer time on Saturday, and our usual Sunday gatherings where we're journeying through John as well. But I wanted to bring you one of our little devotions today, in part because I think it's important for us to respond to some of the news of the past week of us looking at a world beyond COVID, the hopes being raised of a time when restrictions might be taken away. And I think that brings real joy and real optimism. I've noticed a lot more people out smiling as the weather has warmed at the same time as we've heard this news. And yet I think some of us might have the reaction of Mary and Martha, where they know what Jesus can do and they come to him and say, not can you do this big thing, but Jesus, if you'd been here, we wouldn't have had to go through this. This wouldn't have happened. And actually, over this past year, we've lost a lot. And looking forward, we will be scarred by this for some time to come. And rebuilding and moving on is going to be uncertain and unsteady, much as it is hopeful. But I think life is often like that. And what we've learned in our reflections on the Bible this week is that God is not scared of stepping through brokenness and death to bring us freedom and life. Jesus takes that path ultimately in the cross, and as he returns to the area where he will be persecuted, he's not scared of walking through that journey with Lazarus. He's not scared of the stench. He's not scared of the difficulties, of the accusations, of the frustrations of people he's let down. He's happy to walk through that. Because actually in that, something is revealed of God. Something of the God who is happy to be with us in our brokenness is revealed, and it's a beautiful thing. I was thinking of this not just in light of the government announcements and trying to get our heads around when church should reopen around the dates and current case numbers and all of that, but also because yesterday I had the absolute joy of speaking to my good friend Rod by video call. Many of you have been praying for him. He was in a coma for quite a while after catching COVID over Christmas. A real faithful man of God and minister who's encouraged me personally, who spent weeks fighting for his life on a ventilator, relying entirely on our incredible NHS staff who nursed him through it. He's got a long journey ahead of him. He's lost lots of weight. He is raspy. He still has a tracheostomy, a hole in his throat. He still is facing time, not just still in hospital, relearning how to swallow, but time after that spent having further rehab, learning to walk again. And yet I was able to smile with him and share in the goodness of God, share in the fact that God would use this. God will use what we've been through, the things we've lost, the scars we have gained, he will use. And as I reflected on that, I reflected on my story. And many of you have probably heard this a lot of times before, but I realised I'd not shared it with Rod before, that we knew each other really well, but he didn't know that how I came to faith. And I thought maybe 1 or 2 of you haven't heard of it either, but I came to faith after being involved in a really major car accident when I was 12. I broke my femur, my hip, my jaw in a couple of places. A car went straight over my chest, crushing my lungs and my heart and knocking the vertebrae in my neck out of joint. And God healed me. God brought me through. It was incredible. It was miraculous. The doctors would say they were going to focus on one area one day. My church would hold an overnight prayer meeting and they would come and the tests would tell them different things the very next day. And it was just astonishing and beautiful and such a grace the way that God healed me, and also how God worked through the doctors and medical staff too. But after that initial period of just incredible healing, there came a point where I had to go home, and I spent a long time at home. My parents were both working at different points and out of the house, and sometimes I would be on my own. There was a long time when I went back to school where I still wore a neck brace and was very weak. I couldn't walk for a long time. I had to do lots of physio, and there was this sense of I'd been through this horrific, scarring situation and was grateful for God's graciousness, but still there was something that God was teaching me in that journey of recovery. I think God will teach us so much in this season. And I know that might not feel like a comfort right now. I know that might not actually be an encouragement. They might be difficult words to hear right now if, like me and Rachel, you've lost family members and friends and had to go through all the stresses and strains of this past year or so. But God will use this fullness of this season to show his glory, to show us in a way that we can touch and taste and feel who he is. And I look forward to that most of all with hope. I look forward to us being able to stand side by side and worship the God who has been present with us in all of this together. And I hope you're looking forward to that too. Be blessed today.